everyone, and welcome back to my channel. This is Erica from Confessions of a Homeschooler. So today we're going to be talking about how to count your stitches when you're knitting or purling. This is one of the most common questions that I had when I was a beginner because I would forget how many rows I've done, I still do, and have to recount to see where I'm at. And so I just wanted to give you a few tips on counting your stitches in knitting. So as you can see right here, it looks like a bunch of little V's, and these are each knit stitches. The back side has all these little kind of sideways looking bumps, and those are your purl stitches. All right, so when it says you should have 9 rows or 5 rows or whatever, how do you tell how many rows you have done? All right, so typically you do not count your cast on edge as a row. So on my example here, each one of these little V's is 1 stitch. And so if I pull my needle here through both of those legs, kind of pops it out for you a little bit. So right here you can see the V is 1 stitch, okay? Now when you've got a whole row of them, it can be kind of hard to tell where to start counting. Now, historically speaking, you do not count this very first little V right here as a stitch. This is your cast on row. So you'll start the V right above this kind of, it almost looks like a half of a stitch even. It's usually smaller just because your cast on is tighter. So you're gonna start right here. So this is 1 stitch, 2, 3, 4, right there. And then the one on your needle does count, so 5. So that means I have knit 5 rows on this little sample that I have going on right here. So let's do a different row and just kind of see if we get the same total here. So again, we're not going to count our cast on row. So we're going to do, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the one on our needle is 5. And just be careful because sometimes these little ones right here below your needle can be tiny, just like this one right off our cast on edge is as well. So that is how you count your knit stitches. Let's take a look at the purl side. Now if you'll notice, the purl side doesn't have these, but instead what it has are these little purl bumps. And there's like 2 of them kind of at a little diagonal next to each other, like so. So each one of these ridges, but both bumps count as 1 pass. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then again 5 on our needle. So counting your purl bumps, I think sometimes can be a little bit harder. It depends on your pattern. I prefer to count the knit stitches because the little V's are easier for me to see, and there's a little gap in between the rows. Hopefully you can kind of see that. It almost looks like almost like a little knit stitch in between there. And so that is what kind of separates your rows. But again, the purl row is both of these little bumps count as 1 purl stitch. Okay, so row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, and row 5 on our needles. And again, we don't count this cast on ridge. All right, so that's basically how you count your knit stitches or your purl stitches for a project. Hopefully that helps you out with your patterns and you can at least see better what you're supposed to be counting and what it should look like. Thank you so much for joining me for this video today. If you liked it, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. That way I know to keep making these videos for you. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I will see you next time.